Canadians will spend almost $69 billion this year paying the interest on the combined debt of governments in Canada. And by that we mean the federal government and the provinces. The Fraser Institute did the numbers recently, and it works out to about $1,800 for every single Canadian this year. Now, that doesn't reduce the total debt by $1. The total debt is $2.1 trillion. All we're talking about is paying the cost of financing that debt this year. So, what could our governments do with $69 billion? Well, we could solve the healthcare crisis. $69 billion would pay for 45 new, modern, state-of-the-art hospitals. Or we could hire hundreds of thousands of nurses and other medical staff. Or we could buy tens of thousands of MRIs and CAT scans. And what ultimately we could do is lower wait times for treatment and surgery in Canada, which are among the longest in the developed world. Okay, the federal government share of this debt is about $35 billion. What could it do? $35 billion this year would pay for the entire cost of the Trudeau government's National Child Care Program. Or it would pay for the entire cost of employment insurance. And in both cases, the government could pay either one of those and still have billions of dollars more to put to other priorities. The province's share of the total interest paid on debt is $34 billion. What could the provinces do with that? Well, Ontario could finance its entire post-secondary education system and still have billions of dollars left. Quebec could pay for all its doctors. The government of British Columbia could pay for transportation. And the Alberta government could pay for its entire justice system. Now, it's certainly true that the COVID pandemic contributed to the amount of debt governments took on. But high debt levels were going on long before COVID hit. In 2019, the year before the pandemic, the total cost of paying interest on provincial and federal debt was $55 billion. Now, for years, our governments told us there was no problem with this because interest rates were historically low. But the problem is interest rates are no longer historically low. They're the highest they've been in 15 years. And high interest rates means the government has to pay more money on the debt it borrowed, just like we do if we bought a house or took out a consumer loan. So the lesson of all this is that if it sounds too good to be true, when governments say to you, hey, we can spend all this money and we only have to pay a little money to finance it, everything's going to be fine. Well, when something sounds too good to be true, that's because it is too good to be true. All we can hope is that our government has learned a lesson. Our governments have learned a lesson. But skepticism would say they may not have. I'm Lorrie Goldstein of Sun Media. We're always interested in hearing your views, and please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our